My name is Megan Herzik, and I also live in Tinley Park. I have a question specifically for Vandenberg and Yonker. It says in the little summary that the approximate tax bill will be $80,000 a year once it's stabilized. How long is it going to take for it to become stabilized?
It's probably a developer.
Yeah, we can definitely deflect that over to the developer.
Close. I'd like to have one last statement.
Those are facts that were given to staff from the development team that were passed along to the board.
Okay, but
That wasn't a direct statement from either myself. I don't think Brian, I don't know if you want to say. So
okay,
like I
but my
said, just like
understanding is like when you have a tax credit, it's a specific like percentage or something along that line, and it's spelled out like, you know, it's good for 4 years, it's good for 10 years, it's good for a specific amount of time or indefinitely. So is this something that could be indefinite and we'll never get that $80,000, or because he's saying that they're not for profit. So does that mean they're going to be able to apply for a partial tax exemption on top of all this?
Again, I'll deflect it over to the developer. I don't know what their plan is.
So, again, I appreciate your time here, and the questions are definitely well thoughtful. The organization is a nonprofit, and as I mentioned previously, for the record, we looked at apartment communities that are within the village and what their tax bills are now. And so we tried to estimate for our operating budget what we believe the assessment would be based on similar type of properties within the community, market rate, non-market rate, older, and whatnot. Through that analysis, we came up with our assumptions that the taxes would be $80,000. And just as there was a couple of questions about your legacy code, I wasn't around when it was adopted, and I believe it was somewhere in 2011. And if my understanding of code changes are accurate, it must have been a very detailed public process that went on to enact that code to bring, and I wasn't here for that, but as we proceed forward, we would respectfully request that you follow the code that's in place. We would respectfully request that your planning commission does the duty that it's commissioned to do, and I'll answer any more questions that come.
Can you
directly question?
Or yes, can you just clarify what the stabilization comment or the question was? Can you just clarify your perspective in that, please?
Sure. Excuse me. So when we build the development, we have to wait till we're compliant with all the codes and the fire codes to be safe so that residents can move in. We usually start our work from a management perspective and implement our tenant selection plan, which we provided to you all for the record. It shows all the criteria that we follow to find good qualified tenants that meet all the criminal background checks, all the issues about the residents, and I think again the investigation the police department did about us proves out that we manage and stabilize our properties at a high occupancy level. Our market study that the gentleman presented, and I don't have the numbers. Our market study that the gentleman presented, I believe, had 6 months for stabilization from the time we moved residents in. And the tax credit really has nothing to do with the residents or the property. It's what we sell to raise equity to finance the development. So there's private dollars that we bring through the sale, and the tax credit ends to the people that buy it, which are usually banks or insurance companies that invest in your state. It has nothing to do with state tax credits. It's a federal passive income credit, and they pay us for us passing that on to them. I don't know.
I think her question really related to how soon you can start to see those property
My
taxes.
question is how soon until it's stabilized, and once it's stabilized, will the development be partially exempt? So even though it's at full market value, once you apply the assessed value, and then once you apply the partial tax, you're not paying a full tax bill, you're paying a portion, which on paper you are at market value, but you are getting an additional break.
The tax credit is not applied to property tax, it's income taxes.
Right, but if it's not for profit, you can also get additional.
Not on this, it's kind of like you, but if you're familiar with
No, but I'm familiar with
Falls
property
onto
taxes.
different.
Yeah,
It has to be used for exempt purposes. It doesn't matter whether you're not-for-profit. If you're using the property for exempt purposes as laid out in the Illinois state statutes, you can qualify, but a not-for-profit, just by virtue of the fact that they're a not-for-profit, does not qualify for a tax exemption.
Is there a loophole that they could?
Only if they're using it for exempt purposes under the state statutes.
Only if Ms. Connolly gets an
I don't
email.
believe there's anything about this development.
that's really
Pardon me. I don't believe there's anything about this development that would qualify for the
Is there a way that you can find out? I emailed all of you yesterday. I haven't heard back from anyone yet. I realize you've been busy.
Our council has advised us as it relates to taxes that under the assessment rules, we are an income producing property and we will be assessed as such, just like a hotel is an income producing property. So it gets assessed based on its income and expense ratio, and then it applies to the current tax law. There's no applicability or intent, to my knowledge, that we have any. So that's how we're valuing our taxes, and that's how we're presenting our property.
Thank you.
My name is Peter Broner. I live at 167th and 84th Avenue in Tinley Park. I've lived here for a number of years with my family. The first thing I want to say is to the organizers, you guys have done an outstanding job in this short social media. Thank you very much. Who oversees the Planning Commission? Who's the Planning Commission report to? Mr. Vandenberg. I have a question here. I read the minutes that the organization threw out there of the last Planning Committee meeting. And I noticed that the chair of the Planning Commission, Ms. Walker, and Ms. Walrick, staff of Tinley Park, both stated that when Tinley developed the gateway into the 2009 Legacy District Plan, this type of development is exactly what was envisioned for this property by the town. If that were true, why did they give the variance that I just heard about tonight back in the summer, where they went from plan required to plan preferred, or whatever the variance is that you guys made? How did this all happen, guys? If this was true statement by the Planning Commission chair and your staff, then why did they come to you and seek a variance like that? With apparently, I understand, and I know you do too. I think you're the guy, you'll stand up and say, listen, I made a mistake. And by signing, or you guys by voting on the variance that they requested underneath all those papers, it's still on you, and I know you guys know that. But my question to you is, why are we letting the Planning Commission make statements like this? You know, I read the report, the minutes, and I saw the Planning Commission is saying that the developer is so great, they're doing all this for us and all that. The developer is saying, oh, staff and the Planning Commission have been so nice to us. But all along, there was a side deal where they've got a variance from the original legacy plan, yet in their statement, they claim that this is what the town had in mind when they developed the 2009 plan. So I just have a question. Why? Did you ever get an answer from the commissioner, from the chair, or from Ms. Waller?
First, I wasn't here in 2009.
No. This just happened this past summer.
Right.
Where you gave
So
the
we're
variance.
talking about a text amendment, not a variation. First, it's a variation from our code, but it's a text amendment, right?
Okay.
Is that what we're discussing?
Yeah, what we're discussing is the Planning Commission chair and Ms. Waller stating that this development is exactly what the town envisioned in the legacy plan that was developed in 2009. Realizing you weren't here, but this was just made in January, whatever the January minutes were that we got. These were statements that were taken directly out of those minutes. If that were true, then why did they request and receive that variance that they gave to the...
I could not answer for the two of them.
Can I give you one bit of advice, sir? It may be time to replace this chair of the Planning Commission and possibly Ms. Walrick, because they seriously misled you both in the minutes as well as when they had you sign that variance. And
Have her answer.
pardon
She's
me?
sitting right there.
Have her explain herself.
Wait.
I kidding. No, I'm not looking to hang any heads. But I do want to say, you make a statement, you live by a statement. And I will say this for the 3 new trustees. I've been watching you guys here since you guys have been elected. You guys are doing a damn good job of standing up for what you believe in, whether it's true or not. Thank you very much. And I'm sure if you need members for Planning Commission, for any of these other commissions, there's a lot. There's what 200 people in that room over there that can't hear. They probably can't hear me. I know they can't hear you. I was sitting over there. Ask for some names. I guarantee you'll get some residents to sign up and help you guys out. Thank you. Thank you.
We still got a couple more people.
Yeah, I'm just getting text too, so I'm getting text from the other room. So the one question would be,
Sure.
when the variance was made in June, or when it was asked for, and it's very simple.
The text amendment.
The text amendment.
Approved.
Yeah, from commercial commercial required to commercial suggested or allowed. Specifically, was this program what she was making the amendment for?
No, it was not. There were 3 districts that were changed, so it was changed throughout the entire legacy code, not just for this project. We were looking at the entire code as a whole. We weren't changing it for this project.
Well, wait a second here. Let me just follow up with what you just said, okay? She knew about this development back in March of the year. She came in June. Obviously, there was something on the mind when they looked for this, because this developer got in her ear and got into Plan Commission's ear to look for a change
Well,
somewhere.
let me ask the developer something, just because timing seems to be an issue here. When was your application rejected, the first round? When was that rejected? Or requested for resubmittal, whatever the term. I'm not in your business.
Yeah, I heard you say that I didn't have an opportunity to offer clarification. We have not submitted more than one application, and but there's 2 steps.
Okay.
And in March, there was first step, which requires really nothing, and it's all about the Illinois Housing Development Authority looking at its data. I don't know what they do and what we submit them, but they look at things, and I think, I don't remember all the numbers, but usually there's in excess of 50 to 70 applicants across the state that apply. 13 got funded out of that, and the second application was in July, or late July, which Ms. Connolly, I believe, referenced the zoning letter that was provided. I don't remember the date, and possibly June, which is a requirement, which was stated that what we were building was compliant with the existing code based on the amount of commercial.
So the resubmission was in July.
Yeah, it's you actually you go in first, and if they invite you, then you submit second.
The second round.
And if you don't get invited, then you don't submit second.
Okay, thank you.
That
I
clar-
appreciate the clarification. This gentleman was waiting, and there were a couple more, so let's just really try to.
Can I just make one more statement? I never requested a variance or a text change, so it's never a conversation that, to my knowledge, came from us. No, I'm a development partner and owner of this development, so I don't.
No, but it would. If it had commercial required, your project would actually have to have commercial status on the first floor, correct?
We did.
Would you have been happy with, and then the question is, would you have considered commercial on the first floor?
We did with commercial on the first
Would
floor.
there be enough parking spaces then?
What is it?
We have commercial on the first floor.
There was not enough parking spaces for commercial on the first floor.
We have commercial on the first floor.
It's 500 square feet of a
Management
of an office.
No, it's
Building commercial.
no, it's not 500 square feet. It's in excess of probably. I'm doing this by memory, so I don't have the plan in front of me, so you can shoot me. But it's community space, it's laundry facility, it's
Non-commercial space.
It's commercial. It's a commercial laundry.
Okay, well, I think there's, okay, thank you. Okay.
But it's
Hi, first off, I just want to state off, I understand that's getting late, but I mean, I remember when the new trustees were sworn in, one of the things that former Mayor Zabraki talked about was making sacrifices, pulling all-nighters. because you guys chose to run and get elected instead of people from Tinley Park, and honestly, everyone's saying stuff here, what they want to say, it's a part of your guys' job to listen. The one thing I just wanted to ask is that my dad lives off, like 163rd in Normandy. As I drive through his neighborhood, I see there's plenty of houses that are either foreclosed on or up for sale and having a hard time being sold. I just wonder, was there any consideration about how the new housing would have any effect on already struggling homes that are being that they're having a struggling time selling those homes? The new influx of housing, would that just make an oversaturation of the marketplace? It's more of a comment more than anything else.
Thank you.